Hello and welcome to the August 1st, 2026 edition of Western Maine Report with the news of Western Maine. My name is Phil Blampede. In this edition, Bethel voters rolled the dice in June that saving $700,000 was better than having expanded police coverage. How is that working out? In South Paris, a tragedy unfolded at the district court as a 72-year-old man was brought in accused of shooting his wife, something he said was accidental. And million-dollar real estate sales are starting to appear in Western Maine this summer. All that and more coming right up. This edition of Western Maine Report is sponsored by Colette Cooter at the Maine Real Estate Experience. Contact Colette for all your real estate needs. Call 207-754-2735. Bethel voters June 11th decided to gamble that it was better to save $700,000 than to have extra police coverage from the Oxford County Sheriff's Office. In an 88-42 vote, the Bethel annual town meeting turned down the article that would have continued the town's having a dedicated deputy in town 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The amount requested reflected a $22,000 increase from the previous year, but the cost of the service since Bethel first contracted with the sheriff in 2023 has gone up nearly 50%. Voters not only questioned the cost, but also that the county hadn't allowed the town to discuss how the cost might be lowered. Select Board member Andrew Whitney.
The Select Board, we've asked several questions. We've had basically no luck. There's no negotiating with Oxford County. We don't have any, as long as we keep paying them, we will not have any negotiating power.
His concerns were echoed by other town officials.
I just want to be clear that this is not the end of this conversation. If this is voted down, we can continue and should continue to have conversations about community safety and what we want safety to look like in our community. It's not either we spend $700,000 right now in a relationship, in a contract with commissioners who make it very clear that they will not differ with us. There is not a conversation to be had about adjusting. There's issues with the contract, there's issues with the budgeting. There's a lot that needs to be discussed, and I think we lose all leverage. If we vote this through, we lose any future conversation that we can have about what we want our community safety to look like that isn't just taking $700,000, $800,000 more. It just keeps going up year after year out of our pockets.
But a voter in the back of the room who identified himself as a retired police officer had a stark warning.
There's a cost of not having dedicated law enforcement coverage. And that cost, you can't put a finite amount to it. Because we don't know how expensive that is until it happens. So at 2 o'clock in the morning, when somebody's kicking in your door, and the deputy's coming from his house in Livermore, think about that $700,000. And I bet you wish you'd spent it.
How has the gamble worked out? Over a month has gone by without a deputy stationed in Bethel, yet the sheriff's office still provides its regular service to Bethel, now no greater than to other towns. They have responded to numerous incidents, including a major accident on Route 2 and a serious domestic violence incident. Bethel Fire Chief Mike Jodry thinks the situation is okay so far.
Obviously, we're only about a month into it, and we haven't had a tremendous amount of calls yet where we need the deputies, but as far as the fire department's concerned, our wait times haven't been as bad as we thought they might be for a deputy if needed. I can't speak for rescue. They deal with them a lot more, but so far so good. They've managed to show up when we need them. So.
In a meeting a week after the town meeting, Select Board member Michelle Cole tried to place a request before the voters to reinstate the budget item and bring back the dedicated deputy, but the motion received no support from the other 4 members and died without a second. The board has subsequently discussed the possibility of establishing a committee to look at increasing police coverage again, but has taken no specific action. The issue may be discussed again at the August 5th board meeting.
I'm hoping that in the end, when this all shakes out, that the county and all the people of Bethel realize that we do need, a deputy in the area, whether it's contracted solely with Bethel or if the county steps up and provides 24-hour coverage.
You're listening to Western Maine Report, the news of Western Maine.
This is the Oxford County Court Report this week. based on court records and in-person reporting from the courtroom. Sponsored by Twin Town Glass on Main Street, Route 26 in South Paris. Car glass cracked? Let us come to you. Highest-rated auto glass shop on Google. A profound family tragedy unfolded in Courtroom 1 of the Oxford County District Court on Monday afternoon, July 27th, as 72-year-old James M. Davey of Norway was moved a step closer to going on trial for the shooting of his wife of 47 years. Davey has been charged with 2 counts of domestic violence with aggravated assault and with reckless conduct with a dangerous weapon after police responded to a 911 call at his house July 26th. They found Davey, they state, at the front door, barefoot, half-dressed, and his wife on the floor just inside, bleeding from a gunshot wound to the upper thigh. Davey stated, according to the police report, that he had been sleeping, heard a noise, and shot at somebody on the stairs with his 9mm pistol. He thought it was an intruder, but it was his wife. She fell down the stairs, he said, and wound up on the floor by the front door. At the probable cause hearing, the defense attorney, Tucker Durstein, claimed that Davey himself immediately called 911 and lay on the floor with his wife, crying until he could hear the police outside. The police report says that Norway police officer Bilal Khan applied a tourniquet to the injured leg and then handed over care to EMTs from Pace Ambulance, who were just arriving. Khan then searched the house and found, the police report states, additional weapons in the bedroom, including an AR-15 rifle and a hunting knife, as well as the 9mm pistol used in the shooting. Davey's wife, Jadzia, age 71, meanwhile, was life-flighted to the Maine Medical Center, where she remained in critical condition as of the court hearing. She was still intubated after surgery, the court was told, and so has not been able to tell her side of the story yet. Davey, a retired electrician, could face decades in jail under the current charges. He faced the courtroom initially on a Zoom call from the Oxford County Jail, as is customary in initial court proceedings when inmates are still being held. However, the hearing was delayed when it was discovered he could not hear the volume on the computer because, he said, his hearing aids were still at his house. He was then brought in person to the courtroom, bound at the wrists and ankles with shackles, where, after being seated, he told the judge he was now able to hear the proceedings. A gray-haired man, slightly stooped, he sat expressionless as the discussion proceeded as to whether probable cause should be found and his case should go to trial. While the defense stressed that it was an accident, the presiding judge, Julia Pitney, noted that dropping a gun and shooting somebody might be an accident, but choosing to pull a trigger could not automatically be termed an accident. The prosecuting attorney noted that the question of it being an accident would have to be determined at trial, not in the probable cause hearing. Attorney Durstein stated that this was a happily married couple. I don't believe any of these charges merit probable cause. All he keeps asking is how his wife is doing. The judge disagreed, finding probable cause on all 3 counts. Discussion then proceeded to bail. The state asked for $15,000. The defense attorney countered with $500, but the judge then imposed $10,000. She added the condition that the couple have no further contact with one another. She added that condition, she said, because it is customary with domestic violence charges. If Davey makes bail, she said, he can return briefly to their house to get his belongings, but otherwise may not stay there. She appointed Mexico attorney Chris Berriman to represent him. The case will now proceed to trial this coming fall. This is not the first tragedy the couple has faced. Their 25-year-old daughter, Kristen, a mother of 2, committed suicide in 2012, and then, compounding that trauma, representatives of Kristen's estate sued the couple for negligence for failing to prevent their daughter's killing herself. The Superior Court granted summary judgment in favor of the couple, noting that there is nothing in the law imposing a duty on someone to prevent someone else's suicide. A couple who inadvertently left the phone line open on a 911 call wound up provoking a multi-agency police response on July 30th in South Paris, complete with a canine and drones. It was due to the violent nature of what they said to one another. According to the court report by Paris police officer David Peterman, the dispatch operator received a call from a Ryerson Hill Road address and could hear voices, but no one speaking directly. For a prolonged period, the operator listened as a couple threatened each other with references to guns, suicide, and shooting any police officers who might show up. The dispatch recording captured the sound of the woman apparently assaulting the man by biting him. Since the occupants of the address were known to possess firearms, approximately a half-dozen officers from 4 different agencies responded, employing a canine and drones. When they approached the house, the man had left, and the woman told police that arguing of this kind was, quote, normal for them, unquote. The man had left to cool off, she said, on nearby trails. Police found the man, identified as Sean Knight, 48. He was unarmed and cooperative, but had a wound on his chin. Police took him to the hospital where he received 7 stitches for the injury, and on the basis of what he had been heard saying on the dispatch line, he was charged with 2 counts of domestic violence and 1 count of obstructing the report of a crime, since he had apparently grabbed the phone from the woman. The woman was apparently uninjured and not charged July 30th for biting the man. She refused to provide a statement, the court report states. Knight appeared before Judge Peter Malia in Oxford County District Court July 31st, who released Knight on a $1,000 bail pending a return to court October 30th. He was ordered to surrender all his firearms and have no contact with the woman, his live-in partner, except to be allowed to return to the Ryerson Hill house one more time with a law enforcement officer to retrieve his belongings. You're listening to Western Maine Report, your weekly news podcast for Western Maine.
Because the people deserve to know.
And now, recent real estate sales in Western Maine, compiled from the records of the Oxford County Registry of Deeds and state and local property information. This segment is sponsored by Cooper Farms at 27 Bethel Road, Route 26 in West Paris, 207-674-2200. Summer vegetables are in now at Cooper's, and tomatoes, sweet corn, and apples are coming soon. Stop by. The summer is starting with some 6-figure sales in the real estate market in Western Maine. One sale in Waterford was of a house in the lakefront community around McWayne Pond. The house was built in 1998 by Joseph Urell, a distinguished college professor who was vice president of academic affairs at Miami University in Oxford, Ohio, and his wife, Barbara. With 1.2 acres, it was their summer home, assessed by the town at $352,000. Barbara Urell died in 2018, and when Joseph died in 2023, the property passed to his sons, Brian and Peter. This month, they sold the property to Julie and Daniel Rosenthal of Cumberland. Maine transfer tax records showed the sale price at exactly $1 million. In Norway, meanwhile, a property on the shore of Lake Penisawassee was sold by Sandra and William Zajac of Oak Hill, Florida, to Molly and Brian Teets of Marblehead, Massachusetts. At 81 Ledgebrook Lane, the property has 4.7 acres, 4 bedrooms, and 4 bathrooms. The new owners will have to comply with several pages of rules and regulations placed as easements in the deed and enforced by the local Property Owners Association. It was assessed at $824,995, but according to Zillow, sold for $2.4 million on July 6th. According to records in the Registry of Deeds, the Teets subsequently took out a $1.8 million mortgage with the Saco and Biddeford Savings Institution to pay for the transaction. As reported in Western Maine Report, the Malliacket Motel on Route 26 in Woodstock underwent a foreclosure auction July 22nd and was acquired by 2 local businessmen, Kinsey Durgan and Travis Stearns, for a winning bid of $700,000. They had 30 days to close, and Mr. Durgan contacted Western Maine Report to state that at the end of July, the closing was proceeding well and should be completed shortly. Among other sales, the 3-bedroom house at 135 Roxbury Road in Andover was sold July 2nd for $295,000 to Rhonda and Richard Duarte of Rumford. The seasonal home at 217 Man Road in Woodstock, located on North Pond, was sold July 8th to Scott and Simone Suba of Bethel for $500,000. The house has 768 square feet of living space and 150 feet of frontage on the pond. And on July 10th, the property at 28 Bethel Road, Route 26, West Paris, was sold to Everett Leasing LLC of West Paris. The 3-bedroom house was built in 1820 and is on 5 acres. Assessed at $204,000, it sold for $255,000. You're listening to Western Maine Report, the news for Western Maine, because the people deserve to know. Here are some items from the scanner log this week, sponsored by Dan's Automotive Repair and Sales, 625 Crescent Avenue, Rumford. Call 207-369-9302. It's the one automotive service you can count on. The Earth Station in Andover has been closed for decades, but someone never got the memo, as scanner transmissions reported July 30th that police had to respond with EMS around 10 p.m. after a vehicle was found at the Earth Station with an unconscious driver. The driver reportedly went through the security gate and into a ditch before emergency crews arrived. Fire and EMS responded and found the patient to be highly intoxicated and nonverbal. Most people are glad when they're released from a hospital stay, but scanner transmissions recently showed that at least one was not. Shortly after midnight on July 29th, police were called to Rumford Hospital to assist staff with a patient who refused to leave the property after being discharged. It was probably because they found the skiing so lousy this week, but at 11:30 a.m. on July 29th, the scanner indicated that police were receiving reports of a gray Volkswagen sedan with Quebec registration and a ski rack reportedly being operated recklessly on Route 2 heading toward Rumford. And the scanner reported that a vehicle struck a utility pole near 758 Intervale Road in Bethel, bringing down power lines. The driver suffered facial lacerations but remained conscious and alert. Let's look at coming events in Western Maine. Coming events are sponsored by Perfect Stitch Embroidery Screen Printing and Promotions, located at 191 Park Street in South Paris. From embroidered garments to headwear to promotional products. Don't miss our great tent sale August 13th to 16th, 9 to 4 every day. Here are the coming events. A big, and it's literally big, annual Bethel Rotary Yard Sale will be on the lawn in front of the Gem Theater in Bethel from August 6th to the 10th, with thousands of donated items offered at yard sale prices to benefit the Rotary's community charitable projects. From furniture to artwork to appliances to toys to musical instruments, the selection of stuff people give to the Rotary to sell is amazing. Opens at noon the first day, then 9 to 6 every day thereafter. Help with technology, from computers to smartphones, is offered once a month at the Bethel Library, 6 Broad Street, Bethel, and will be offered this month on Monday the 3rd from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Also on the 3rd will be the 40th Annual Leon Truman Oxford Hills Chamber of Commerce Golf Classic, being held this year at the Bethel Resort and Suites. Call them at 207-743-2281 for details. How Life Used to Be is the theme of a presentation by the Greenwood Historical Society to be held at the Legion Hall on Gore Road in Locks Mills. It will feature a panel of the town's oldest residents talking about what life used to be like in the area. 7 to 9 p.m., Wednesday the 5th. It's free. Jerry the Butterfly Guy will be at the McLaughlin Garden, 97 Main Street, South Paris, on Thursday the 6th at 10:30 a.m. as part of the Norway Library's summer offerings. Participants will get a chance to make a butterfly wing t-shirt to take home. That night, Thursday night the 6th, the famous Hoot Night at the Suds Pub in the Sudbury Inn continues. A decades-old tradition in the area, the open stage runs from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. in the pub, allowing musicians of all talents and types to get a chance to strut their stuff before a friendly audience. And the annual Maliakite will be held Saturday, August 8th at the Bethel Common on Broad Street, Bethel, starting at 10:30 a.m. with the parade. Food, music, and festivities are in store. The lineup for the parade starts at 9:30 a.m. at River Lanes. That's it for the August 1st edition of Western Maine Report. See you next week with more news from Western Maine.
Because the people deserve to know.